Waking up this morning, I couldn't help but notice the date, 1st of July 2020. That's right, we're officially halfway through what has been an eventful year to say the least. I'm not going to discuss all the terrible events of 2020 today though. Instead, I want to take this opportunity to celebrate the great games which have been released so far despite the pandemic. These games are not only our favourite games of the year so far, but the games which have kept us here at Respawning and millions of others around the globe sane during these troubled times. I'm sure that this list will change with the likes of Cyberpunk 2077, Ghost of Tsushima, Avengers, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, an entire launch lineup for next gen, and way more still to come. But for now, here are the games which we've reviewed the best so far in 2020. Just a quick side note, these games are in no particular order, and this is a completely spoiler-free zone.
I can't say I'd have done different. I'll take it to the grave if I have to.
First up, I want to talk about Journey to the Savage Planet. This wacky and colourful budget title came out in January and unexpectedly gained a large following, including ourselves. Journey to the Savage Planet was the first game from new developer Typhoon Studios, and they definitely started with a bang. This first-person adventure and exploration game was an interesting mix of great gameplay, comedic storytelling, and just an all-around fun time. In Clarissa's review, she said,
"What I like most about Journey to the Savage Planet is that it's an exploration game with an end point. This is pretty appealing to me because it makes me feel like my exploration has achieved something. Whilst other exploration games offer the intrinsic satisfaction of just finding things, Journey to the Savage Planet dangles the juicy carrot of a solvable mystery. That mystery being, are you truly alone on this planet that's supposedly void of all intelligent life forms?"
Hi, I apologize for the one-sided nature of this message, but, communication across vast distances makes it impossible to do anything else.
Next up, let's talk Doom Eternal. This year's latest entry into the Doom franchise was arguably the best one yet. This heavy metal infused first-person shooter resulted in a lot of us here losing hours and hours of our lives chasing down those damn addictive glory kills. The addition of the Doomblade only enhanced what was already a heart-pounding thrill ride. Given some of the bigger AAA releases that have come since, and that are still to be released, there is a genuine fear that Doom Eternal may get lost in the shuffle come the end of the year. But for now, I want to remind you all just how excellent this game is by quoting part of Javier's 10 out of 10 review. He said,
"There's so much on offer here for anyone who's a fan of action games. Pick this up. Even if you're a fan of games, don't miss out on this game. Because I can't fault this game at all, I have to give Doom Eternal a 10 out of 10. I said it.
Humanity's chance to repent, to give service to us. You cannot resist the will of the Khan Maker."
Activating the portal now.
let's talk about Resident Evil 3. Hot on the heels of last year's hugely well-received Resident Evil 2 remake, the follow-up was out quick and did not disappoint. It had everything we could have possibly asked for. Incredible visuals that brought a PS1 classic to life? Check. Unrivaled horror action gameplay? Check. All the nostalgia us 90s kids could possibly ask for? Check. Although this sequel didn't quite have the same replayability that Resi 2 had, that didn't stop it from being an incredible experience, which Luke reviewed at a tasty 9 out of 10. Here's what he had to say.
Resident Evil 3 has always been a bit of a controversial entry into the franchise. It's arguably the first time the game stepped away from being a horror and focused heavily on the action aspects. Ammo is more plentiful, set pieces often feel like something you would see in an Uncharted game rather than a Resident Evil title, and the boss fights usually provide you with more than enough to get through without too much of a challenge. Despite this, however, I loved the original version of Resident Evil 3 and its action game elements, so a remake of this fits perfectly into my PS4 library of something I have loved playing through.
Next up is Neo 2. The sequel to the outstanding Neo 1 had the samurai-loving Soulsborne's fans in the office, so, Luke, losing their minds with hype. Needless to say, this action RPG did not disappoint. The combat in Neo 2 is close to flawless, and when mixed with a story, which admittedly split some fans, that's actually worth paying attention to, Nioh 2 is a game which you need to play if you're feeling brave enough. Once again, Luke was on hand to review this one and had the following to say. I will come right out and say it. Nioh 2 is better than Sekiro. Come at me, internet. All in, Nioh 2 can easily contend with the best Souls-likes and even deserves a place on the mantle with the likes of Sekiro and Bloodborne as one of the best of the genre.
二人で一つの名を
許す。ただし、名は秀吉とせよ。
You knew it was coming. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Remakes really are all the rage, huh? And rightfully so when you have games like this. Square Enix took a PS1 classic with a gigantic fan base and remade it for the modern era, managing to not only please that original fan base, but also introduce the franchise to an entirely new audience, including yours truly. Ditching the old school turn-based combat, Final Fantasy VII Remake went with a more exciting combat system, similar to what it had introduced in Final Fantasy XV. Or so I'm told, this was my first Final Fantasy experience. Mixing these excellent gameplay mechanics with an already outstanding, slightly updated classic story, Final Fantasy VII became an instant classic once again, and a true contender for Game of the Year. Make sure to check out what both me, Mikey, a newcomer, and Javier, who loves these games, had to say about it in the videos linked in the description below.
We did it!
And the winners and champions, Cloud and Aaron!
The final game we're going to talk about is the most recent release on this list, and that is of course The Last of Us Part 2. Although this game has caused a bit of controversy amongst fans, the four of us here at Respawning who have played the game in its entirety, Hav, Luke, Matt and myself, all sit somewhere between a 9.5 and a 10. I'm not going to address the hate which The Last of Us Part 2 has received though. You can check out mine and Matt's spoilercast for reactions to that. Instead, I'll just say that it's undoubtedly become my favourite game of all time, and one of, if not the best stories I've ever witnessed in any medium period. For me personally, it will take something stupidly special to knock this game off the top spot, but you never know. I'll leave you with a quick quote from my review before wrapping this thing up. Visuals, gameplay and sound all push the PS4 to its absolute limits and makes the game one of, if not the most impressive game to ever grace the console, or any console for that matter. Genuinely, if I was allowed to rate this masterpiece above a 10, I would. Unfortunately, I cannot, so I give The Last of Us Part 2 10 out of 10.
I really hope you make it.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
So there you have it. Those are the games that we rank highest here at Respawning so far in 2020. But of course, there are so many more games to come, so this list will undoubtedly change before the end of the year. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If any of the games mentioned tickle your fancy, then make sure to check out the Amazon links in the description below. Any game you purchase won't cost you anything extra, and it just means we get a little kickback from Amazon, which allows us to carry on doing what we do. Javier recommends the badass Doom Steel poster, Luke has that sweet Resi 3 Collector's Edition statue in his wishlist, and I would suggest you go for that slick Last of Us Part 2 Steelbook. Thank you once again for watching, and as always, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel for more content like this, and also remember to check out the website respawning.co.uk for all the latest news and reviews. Once again, thank you for watching, I've been Mikey, and I'll catch you next time.